Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Art of Business English podcast, where we help people like you get the language skills you need for doing business in English. Episode 197 here for you today, people. And today we're going to do another episode on awkward or difficult situations. Now, if you didn't check out last week's episode, it was packed full of expressions that you can use when dealing with awkward situations where you really don't know how to introduce this difficult thing to talk about. So if you haven't taken a look, check it out. It's over at the blog or on the YouTube channel, or you can also check out all of my episodes on many sources of podcasting apps such as Google, Spotify, iTunes, Deezer. There are so many, they're all there. So wherever you find a podcast, you'll find the Art of Business English. Okay, in this week's episode, we're going to learn some expressions to describe difficult situations, okay? So sadly, from time to time, we all have to deal with things that annoy us or cause stress. And these phrases will widen your knowledge of vocabulary for talking about them in English. So first, I will present the phrase and then describe it with the meaning of it so you have some context. And of course, I'm going to give you an example sentence of it in use to help you with the context. So let's dive in. Okay, the first one on my list is sticky situation. So a sticky situation is like a question or a problem that is difficult to deal with or dangerous. For example, there was a sticky situation during the meeting, but everything turned out all right in the end. So this was a bit complicated. Maybe something in the meeting happened to make people feel very stressed and uncomfortable, but in the end it was resolved. Number 2 on my list is to be in an uncomfortable position. Now, if you're in an uncomfortable position, you're in a situation that feels embarrassing or unpleasant. No one likes to be in an uncomfortable position. So an example of this would be, the Conservative Party finds itself in an uncomfortable position. So something's related to politics, something's happened, it's affected them negatively, and they're not comfortable, they're embarrassed, it's not good. Number 3 on my list is delicate situation. Now, a situation that needs to be dealt with carefully or sensitively in order to avoid problems or failure is a delicate situation. So an example of this is an extremely delicate situation, and one which requires careful thought and discussion before we decide on any action which might be appropriate. So yes, in a delicate situation, you should take your time, make sure you do the right thing, make the right decision. Number 4, a tricky situation. Tricky means complicated, so a situation that is difficult to deal with or do because it is complicated and full of problems. So a tricky situation is very complicated, technically complicated, so it's not always easy to navigate. So an example, I must say that he dealt remarkably well with a rather tricky situation, given the lack of time. So the situation was complicated, there was not much time, and the person dealt with it well. Number 5, to be in deep water. To be in deep water means to be in trouble or in a difficult or serious situation. Think of a child who is swimming. If they go into the deep water, then they could find themselves in big problems, and this is sort of where the expression comes from. So an example, the director knew he'd be in deep water if he didn't mention his wife in his acceptance speech. So he would have had problems with his wife if he didn't mention her. Number 6, to be in a tight spot or to be in a tight corner. This is an informal expression, okay? So it's an informal expression for a difficult situation or a bad position. For example, the union strike will put the chairman in a very tight spot, meaning not much room to maneuver, not many options, so it's a bit complicated to get out of this position. Number 7, to be in an embarrassing position. So this means to be in a situation that makes you feel ashamed, nervous, or uncomfortable. No one likes to be in an embarrassing position. All right, so an example is, it's easy for recipients to forward messages to others, which could leave you in an embarrassing position if you divulge personal or confidential information. Divulge is to reveal, to show. So be careful forwarding your personal information. Number 8, to be in hot water. Again, this is quite an informal expression. To be in hot water means to be in or get into a difficult situation in which you are in danger of being criticized or punished. So if you're in hot water, it's not good. An example here would be, he found himself in hot water over his comments about immigration. So the person's made inappropriate comments about immigration and they are now in big trouble. Number 9, to have no way out. Now, to have no way out means without a way to escape a difficult or bad situation. And if you have no way out, it means there are all bad options and you can't win. So an example would be, I didn't like it there at all, but I had no way out. So I had no other option. I had to stay there. I didn't like it, but I had to be there. Number 10, to be in a quandary. So that's Quandary. So to be in a quandary, that's not being able to decide what to do about a situation in which you are involved. You're like, oh, I can't decide. What do I do? What do I do? So an example would be, he was in a quandary about which candidate to choose. So the person was indecisive. They couldn't decide. That was a quandary. Number 11, to be in a pickle. To be in a pickle. A pickle is a little green thing that you eat. This is an old-fashioned slang. Slang is, informal expression for being in a very difficult situation and not knowing what to do. And a fun fact, it is believed that this expression started to be used since Shakespeare included it in his play, The Tempest. So for example, we're in a pickle now because the hotel gave away our room. So we're in a pickle now because the hotel gave our room away or gave away our room. So this means that they gave our room to someone else. So now we're in a pickle. Okay, number 12, and this is the last one on my list, and this is to be between a rock and a hard place. So you've got no options. Like both options are difficult. Like a rock is hard and a hard place is hard. So it's to be in a very difficult situation and to have to make a hard decision. So the options are not good. Boom, ow, boom, ow. I'm going this way or that way and I'm stuck. European leaders are between a rock and a hard place with regards to ensuring a stable supply of gas to the region. At the moment in Europe, in January of 2022, we get a lot of our gas from Russia and we have a few problems. Well, Europe has a few problems with Russia. So they're between a rock and a hard place. Do they get angry at Russia and then have a problem with their gas supply? Or what are we going to do? So the options are not great. So there you have it, my friends. Those are my 12 expressions for talking about difficult situations, okay? Though we rarely like to face difficult times, at least now you know more words to refer to them in a colourful and varied way. So, you can play with these expressions and start to use some of them and you'll internalize them in your vocabulary. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode as always. Please feel free to share it with your friends. That'd be great. Your family as well, or any of your colleagues. And if you have any other expressions you would like to share with me or add, then don't hesitate to drop them in at the blog, over at the blog. You can just chuck them at the bottom there. There's a section for replying. And if you are looking to improve your knowledge of English at work, or your knowledge of English expressions at work, then you should enroll in my online course on business idioms. This is actually a course that was prepared by Loic, my colleague, and this professionally recorded course is ideal for expanding your knowledge of English idioms in a business context. You can get all the details over at the blog for this episode, and there's a link to enroll, so why not check it out? And of course, you get 30 days to try it, and I'm sure you're going to find lots of value, so there's nothing to lose. All right, people, that's it for me. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you all next week on another episode of The Art of Business English. Take care. Bye for now.